You gave quite an interesting speech regarding Libya and what the average Libyan person, what is important for the average Libyan. What do you think could be done to bring migration further up in the ladder of importance, rather?
Well, to be brutally frank with you, people look after their interests. How does migration affect the average Libyan everyday life? And in reality, and this is a sad reality, it doesn't, because this is a kind of a black market section and activity. For example, as has been pointed out in today's talk, most of these migrants are put on these boats after midnight, away from the eyes of security and away from the eyes of the average civilian. So there's no crossing point between their everyday life and the activity of the export and the business of illegal migration. They see illegal migrants in Libya. We've had illegal migrants in Libya. Libya is a net importer of illegal migrants. Libya is a net importer of foreign labor. We have a 6 million population only for a huge country, and the average Libyan is not interested in doing many of the what could I call menial or blue-collar jobs. These are left to the African migrants and our fellow Arab migrants. So there is that interaction, but specifically the business, and I'm sorry to call it business, but that's how it's become, the business and human trafficking of illegal migrants does not affect them. So it's going to be difficult to bring it up the agenda for the average Libyan. It can, however, be brought up the political agenda of the Libyan government and making it an important factor in their everyday life. The problem is, and as I said in my presentation, is there has to be a quid pro quo. There has to be an interest. Let's be real. I know most of my fellow panelists today were humanitarian, looking at it from that point of view, the NGO and activists, but international relations on this globe are between states. They're about interests and mutual interests. And Europe has got to find a way of linking Libya's interest with Europe's interest, without annoying my fellow humanitarians, without sacrificing the human rights of the average illegal migrant.
Just one more question. You mentioned the current Libyan government being quite weak in terms, particularly in the eastern side of Libya. What do you think needs to be done in order to strengthen its influence?
That is very evident. Libya is weak. I don't think you get two people who disagree on that. The evidence is the split between East Libya and West Libya. We have two central banks, two governments, two parliaments, etc., etc. The duplication of institutions. What you have to do that, it takes time. Destroying a state, having a revolution, breaking up all the institutions that were non-existent anyway because of 42 years of dictatorship, of Gaddafi dictatorship. Libya was based upon the personality, the cult and personality of one person. Gaddafi was clever in that he knew that strong institutions could be a threat to him. Police, justice system, army. So he hollowed, he hollowed out the institutions. So there was no institutions after the revolution in 2011. To build institutions takes time. The most important institution is the security institution. For an effective state, in Max Weber's terms, you must have a monopoly on the legitimate use of force. So the Libyan government must be able to pick up the phone in Tripoli, just by ordering its soldiers, policemen, at the four corners of Libya should be able to get a response. Unless you form one strong, centralized institution, Libyan government authority cannot be outreach to all of the corners of Libya. And as long as the Libyan state cannot outreach its authority, you're going to have militias and all the non-state actors usurping that power and doing as they like. So in short, solving Libya's root problem, making Libya into an orderly state will help the illegal migration and help the interest of the international community.